right? That's the halacha. And where did that come from? So that's where the Gemara now, it's said that that was enacted in the attic of Hananiah. And the Gemara, and also it was a time period of the Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel, which is about 100 years before the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. And the Gemara is questioning, is bothered by the question. It seems that this enactment happened earlier. And that's what the Gemara is going to trace the statement and try to question and see how we can figure out when really was this enactment. And obviously, if you say the enactment was this time, someone says the enactment was another time. So how we explain that? So that is now, what is the idea of we wash our hands? Again, 14b3. We wash our hands before we eat, and what's one of the reasons? The rabbi said that a person's hands are very active. Today, you travel a train, you go in a car, you do a lot of different things during the day. Who knows what you're touching? And there's a concern your hands might not be perfectly clean. They might have come in contact with things that are not perfectly clean. And then if you touch truma, it's going to make the truma not so pleasant, not so nice. It's going to ruin the truma a certain amount. And we want the truma to be respected and treated with certain dignity. Truma is holy food. So therefore, the rabbi said you have to wash your hands before you handle the truma. If you don't wash your hands before you handle the truma, you're going to invalidate the truma. You're going to make the truma not fit for the kohen to eat. So you're gonna have to burn the truma. That was the enactment. And now, because of that enactment, the rabbis also said that before we have bread, if I want to have bread, I have to wash my hands. Why? Because we want the kohanim to be in constant training of washing their hands before they handle truma. So therefore, they said everybody washes their hands before they eat. That's one reason why we wash our hands before we eat, because we don't want to. And the other reason why we wash our hands is because of cleanliness, not because of the issue of the truma issue. That in order that the kohanim should be in practice in washing their hands before they handle truma, rather our hands need to be clean for cleanliness and godliness and for sanitary reasons. But that's a little bit about the background of the reasons for the enactment. So now comes the Gemara. V'yadayim Talmidei Shammai v'Hillel Gozor. You're telling me the hands were instituted by the students of Shammai and the students of Hillel? We have Talmidei Shammai v'Hillel Gozor. The rabbis, their leaders made the Gzeira, meaning the enactment was not made by the students of Shammai. The students of it, so Beit Shammai, Beit Hillel means the house of Shammai, the house of Hillel. But it's not the house of Shammai. It's not the yeshiva. Good morning. Like you have a yeshiva of Rav Moshe Feinstein. He's not there now. But then there's Rav Moshe Feinstein when he was alive. So there was the Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel. There was the house of Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel, which is the yeshiva of Shammai and Beit Hillel. But when you say that they instituted, it sounds like it was the yeshiva, the students. But the Gemara says, what do you mean? It was Shammai and Hillel themselves. Because why? We find the Tanya, we have a bright. Yossi ben Yoezda, Ish Sreida. Yossi ben Yochanan, Ish Yerushalayim. Yossi ben Yoezda, who came from a town in Israel called Sreida. Yossi ben Yochanan, Ish Yerushalayim. Yossi ben Yochanan, who was a man from Jerusalem. By the way, the name Sreida is a land, there's a city in Israel that Yeravam ben Nevat was born. Yeravam ben Nevat went on to be one of the worst kings in Israel. But we know that town Sreida from over there. And what does it say? It says that Yosef ben Yoesa and Yosef ben Yochanan goes to Tumah al Eretz Amim. They made a decree. We started this yesterday that Eretz Amim, non-Jewish land, any land outside the land of Israel, there's a concern that maybe when you're walking there, maybe there's someone buried where you're walking, because they weren't so careful outside the land of Israel. The non-Jewish community wasn't so careful to bury their people in a secluded area, in a separate area, and put marks on it that you should know here lies someone who's buried there. And therefore, anywhere you go, you could be walking over a dead body right underneath. And therefore, the rabbi said, if you go outside the land of Israel, you will contract, you will be considered tamei, like you came in contact with a dead body, and you would have to have the ashes of the paraduma that we had last week's parsha. We had Parshat Vayakal and Parshat Paraduma, Parshat Parah. So too, you would have to sprinkle the ashes to purify the person from coming in contact with a dead body. That's how we consider outside the land of Israel. And therefore, if he would come in contact with Truma, he would validate Truma. He has a high, that would be, that's the Gazu Tuma al Eretz Amin. They made a contamination on the lands outside the land of Israel. And Va'al Kli Zechuchit. And they also said that glassware has the ability to become contaminated. There are certain things. I mean, the Torah they never mentioned tumah, contamination in glassware. The Torah talks about, earthenware becoming contaminated, clothing becoming contaminated, and really even metals you could be contaminated, contamination of metals. But glass was not something that was ever mentioned in the Torah that has the ability to receive contamination. And they instituted that glass has the ability to receive contamination, if it comes into contact with someone, or we'll have to see which items that are contaminated. They could contaminate that item. If someone's contaminated, someone came in contact with a dead body, and if he comes in contact with that glass, he touches that glass, he will contaminate the glass. Shimon ben Shotach, and the Gemara later on will discuss more details regarding this law about the glass. We know practical times today. We know interesting about glass that we dip glass in a mikveh. You buy glassware. If you buy glasses, right? You want to have a good drink. You want to have a drink. For Shabbat, you bought a nice set of glasses. Those have to be dipped in the mikveh, and you have to say a bracha before you dip them in the mikveh. People sometimes get confused, and they think, a lot of people in the Sephardi community, they use the same glass for dairy and for meat, right? They might think that therefore there's no need to dip the glass in the mikveh. One thing has nothing to do with the other. There, the idea is the issue maybe of glass perhaps not absorbing, so therefore maybe they use the same glass for dairy and meat, correct, Mr. Haber? But when it comes to mikveh, the glass has to go to the mikveh. Let's explain a little bit what is and the Gemara later on is going to explain. Good morning, Mark.
Morning, Rabbi.
We're discussing now glass. We just said that these two rabbis made an enactment that glass has the ability to receive contamination from someone or who was contaminated, or certain things that were contaminated. Glass has, it should be like other kelim, whatever the laws of kelim, utensils. In order for utensils to receive contamination, we said before that person and utensils are a higher level, meaning to contaminate a person, to contaminate a utensil, you need to be an avatum, a source of contamination. So they made a contamination on glass.
Glass is a little different though than most things like metal or porcelain or thing that they can absorb. Glass doesn't absorb.
Right. Very good. Therefore, that's about absorbing. That will be regarding using the glass, like meat and dairy, so that many in the Sephardi community, they rely on the fact that they say that the glass doesn't absorb, therefore they'll use that same glass. But that's not that's one law regarding absorption. But regarding a law of buying a glass utensil from a non-Jew, that law, that's a rabbinic law that you have to go ahead and dip that glass in the mikveh, and you recite a blessing. So if you're gonna buy for your wife a set of glasses for drinking, some wine glasses, or any other glasses you're gonna drink from. Good morning, Asaf. Those glasses, I think people don't know enough about it. I think there's a little confusion, and they need to go ahead and dip them in the mikveh. Before you dip them in the mikveh, you need to recite a blessing. And here, and it's just similar to metal. The metal, let's say you dip in the mikveh. There is a discussion in halacha, and I think the main opinion is that it's right there, that if dipping metal in a mikveh, if you buy metal from a non-Jew, you have to dip it in a mikveh. You buy your silverware, your pot, because it's leaving the domain of the non-Jew and it's entering the domain of a Jew. Now it's entering the kedushat, the holiness of the Jew. It requires going to the mikveh, the item, just like if a person converts from someone's not Jewish, and now you enter into the holiness, you go to the mikveh. So now that you're entering into the ownership of the Jew, that item has to go to the mikveh, and that's a rabbinic law that the glasses have to be dipped in the mikveh. And here we have the idea, and we'll see more about it, that it could receive contamination. That dead mouse that comes in contact with the glass will now become contaminated. The Torah does not list glasses as an item that receives contamination, but this is a rabbinic law, and that was a gzerah, that was a decree. Aaron, Claire, that was a decree that was made by these rabbis. Shimon ben Shataf, who was a little later on in the second Beit HaMikdash, he tiken tuba liisha. He instituted. Now, the language of the Gemara sounds like he instituted ketubah, but we know ketubah is much earlier. Having a marriage contract, there are those that say that ketubah is a biblical law. There's a concept of ketubah, which means there's a certain amount of money that the husband is responsible to pay to his wife if the marriage doesn't, either if he divorces his wife or if he passes away, he gets a certain amount of money. And the reason for that seems to be, at least in the case for divorcing a wife, we don't want a person to be very quick to divorce his wife. If he knows that it will cost him, then maybe he will try to work it out. And so now the question is, what was his reason behind this? What is his contribution? So what he is saying, that when a person writes, that the word ketubah means written, meaning it's a written contract, it's a written obligation that we see we even see today at the marriage. We give it's a written document that you give the ketubah, and it's a very important document that the wife should either have in her house or someone should be watching for. You need to know where the ketubah is. And he said, they write in the ketubah that all my properties are responsible for this amount of money that I'm obligated, that I would be obligated to pay my wife, all my properties are obligated. What was the what was what did he come? What is the chidush? What is the chidush of this? Because before this enactment, a person would designate for his wife a certain amount of money at him. They would designate a certain amount of money or a certain amount of movable items to pay for the ketubah. They say here's the, let's say the ketubah value was a few $1,000s, whatever it was. He says, and he has a certain type of, he has a watch, and he said this watch is designated to pay for that value of the ketubah if marriage doesn't work out. And what happened if the husband got upset with his wife? You know what he would say? He'd say, take the watch and go. Take the ketubah, and it's already prepared. It's already prepared. The watch is already designated. It's already there, or the money was set aside. We don't want it to be so easy for a person to get divorced, and therefore Shimon Shatach said that you have to write. The husband, all my properties are responsible to pay for the ketubah, and he should not designate anything for the ketubah. No specific thing is designated for the ketubah. So now it's going to be harder for him because he didn't. When a person sets something aside, it's already done. I already set it aside. It's not on my. It's not. It's like I don't own it anymore. But if you don't designate anything, now you have to come up with some cash. Yeah, you have to come up with something to pay for it. So then there's more likely you'll say, okay, maybe I'll try to work it out. So that is the story. I just want to say from personal interaction with people, Mark, I think you're going to appreciate hearing this. And everybody should hear this. It doesn't take so much to save a marriage, and that's what's very scary. It doesn't take so much involvement, outside intervention, proper intervention to save a marriage, and that's what's scary to me. Mark, do you understand what I just said? I don't know if Mark is on. We'll see when he gets back. Maybe he'll hear us a little better. But
I hear you. I was on mute.
I just want to explain what
And I
I'm saying.
agree. Okay.
What I'm saying is a lot of times a rabbi could get involved, a rebbitzin could get involved. Not so many sessions are needed. They meet with the couple, and you know what? Magic. The couple's back in shape. That doesn't mean everything is perfect, but to me, it's just mind-boggling that people have married with kids and they're ready to get divorced, and it'll be such a terrible negative impact it would have on the children and on themselves, whatever the situation is, mourning, and just having a few sessions, a real few sessions. Not we're not talking about a year's work, so to speak. A few sessions with the guidance of certain proper people. It's unbelievable. That's what we have to realize. So if you know anybody who have difficulty, make sure they get to the right people. Could really
today they give up too quickly.
I'm telling you, Mark. I'm just saying I've been involved with my wife and with people who have it, and it's unbelievable. It didn't take so much. To fix it. That's what bothers me. That bothers me. Not the right word. That's
what people don't realize is, like anything else, it requires effort and work, and it has to be important to you. If your marriage becomes like it's supposed to be good, but my business requires a lot of work. So what do you mean? Your business requires work, people do the work, but when the marriage requires work, people don't want to do the work. They think it's supposed to be like in the movies.
Yeah, and they lose out big. I just wanted to point that out. Okay, back to and you see how the rabbis instituted. They were concerned that people shouldn't just throw in the towel. Throw in the towel. Got upset, throw in the towel, divorce his wife. And they say, no, give it a little time. Don't make it so easy for the person to get divorced. So the Gemara says, the following. Shimon ben Shotaf, he instituted Tubal Isha. He instituted this idea that you all your properties are responsible to the woman, not designating a specific property, and also the Gaza Tuma Akli Matchot. He instituted contamination for metal. And the Gemara is going to ask, why do we need him to institute contamination of metal? Metal receiving contamination is a biblical law. We don't need him to enact anything, an act that it should receive contamination. So that's a stay tuned that the Gemara is going to discuss. And here's the point that the Gemara is getting to. Shammai v'Hillel goes through al tumat yadayim. Morning. Shammai and Hillel, they instituted on the hands. They instituted contamination on the hands, but now on 14b4, toward the top of the page, they instituted the contamination on the hands, that their hands, if your hands are not washed, if you touch truma, you will invalidate the truma. So, the Mishnah stated that it was the Beit Shammai, the Beit Hillel, the yeshiva, the students of Shammai, the students of Hillel enacted it. And here we see that it was Shammai and Hillel himself, not the yeshiva, not the students. That's the Gemara's question. Now, so the Gemara says, V'chi tema, and if you're going to say, Mr. Haber, would you like a coffee? Maybe they brought up a coffee. Okay. V'chi tema, and if you want to say, Shammai v'siyato. When the Braita says, when it says Shammai instituted this law about Yadayim, and Hillel, it means Shammai and his group, his company, his yeshiva. Hillel v'siyato. Hillel and his yeshiva. Meaning to say that really it was never the students by themselves. It was always Shammai with his students and Hillel with his students. So the Gemara says, and therefore there's no contradiction. One place it said the yeshiva of Shammai did it. One place it said that it wasn't the yeshiva of Shammai, it was Shammai himself. Right? One place said Shammai and Hillel, one place said the yeshiva. So the Gemara said it was Shammai and his yeshiva and Hillel and his yeshiva. So the Gemara says it's not so. V'amar Rabbi Yehuda Mashma 14b4. There was 18 decrees that they enacted in the attic of Rav Chananya, and they argued in 18 places, meaning those 18 were decreed, but all 18 they argued on, meaning it wasn't unanimous. The yeshiva, the students, the yeshiva of Shammai had they wanted these 18 enactments, and the yeshiva of Hillel did not want to make these 18 enactments. And Hillel v'Shammai, here's a fascinating thing that the Gemara is now going to say. Hillel and Shammai themselves only argued in 3 places. The students maybe argued in 300 places, but they themselves only argued in 3 places. Something to think about. No, 3 places throughout. Right. Very good. That's the Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel. That's the house of Shammai, the students of Shammai, the students of Hillel. But Shammai and Hillel themselves, it's only 3. But the Gemara is going to say that maybe, the Gemara might say that when other people had positions, they might have argued on each other where other people had positions. But as if they're the only 2 people on the table in the room, if there's no other recording of a discussion on it, there's only 3 places that they argued. It's something to think about. How was it that the rabbis themselves only 3 places, and their students were like 3? They argued so much, but There was only three places. The Amr of Huna said, say it again. Yes. The Amr of Huna, they argued in three places, and that's it. So you can't say that Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel of the Mishnah means Shammai and his students and Hillel and his students, because it says that there was actual arguments. They were arguing in these 18 places they were arguing. And if Shammai and Hillel are part of the argument, that means that but we know they only argue in three places. You can't say that when it says Beit Shammai, Beit Hillel, it means Hillel and his yeshiva, his Shammai and Hillel, because Hillel and his yeshiva, Hillel and Beit Shammai were not involved in 18 arguments against each other. And it says that they argued about these 18 cases, that they did not agree that Beit Shammai Beit Hillel. The Gemara says, maybe you'll suggest the following answer. Atu inu gozu litlot. Shammai and Hillel, they themselves said the following. If you didn't wash your hands before you touch Trumah, you will invalidate the Trumah. The Trumah now cannot be eaten by the Kohen, but it does not need to be burnt. But not that it has to be burnt. You just don't eat it, and you can have benefits from it. Now the question is, you wouldn't be required to burn it. If you want to benefit, we said you could, even when you have to burn it, you could benefit from Trumah. But here we're saying that maybe they made a decree that you don't have to burn it. It just it's in doubt. You don't eat it because now we'll say another point. I want to correct myself. If we say you don't have to burn it, then let's say you can't burn it. You can't burn it. Why can't you burn it? Because truma that's tahar. Let's say truma that's pure, 100% pure. What's the law with 100% pure truma? You can't burn it. It's pure. You have to eat it. You can't burn it. Burning truma is only when the truma becomes contaminated. Truma becomes contaminated, you burn it. And then you could burn it, you could benefit, you could use the fuel. You have oil that became contaminated, that's truma, you could burn it and benefit from it. But if you say something's in between, that you can't eat it, but you can't burn it, meaning you can't eat it because there's some negative thing here that happened that you should not have touched the truma without washing your hands. So it creates a level that truma it becomes invalidated for eating. But they didn't go so far to say actually, what do you say? You could sell it, but you cannot. No, it can't. If you say it's invalid, that means the Kohen can't eat it. Nobody can eat it. Nobody can eat it. So I don't know what purpose you would have with it. You can't eat it. You can't. But it's still, they didn't go so far. See, how far did they go to say that it was actually tamei? See, now we're introducing a new concept. There's something called, there's three levels. Tahar is pure, eat it. Tamei is contaminated, burn it. Then there's something called tolet, litlo, suspended in midair. What's the something suspended in midair? It's not up and it's in the middle. So that's called the middle level. We're not ready yet to tell you to burn this truma, because really on a Torah level, this truma is perfectly pure truma. This is a rabbinic enactment that was saying that if you didn't wash your hands, you're invalidating the truma. But maybe they only, in the beginning perhaps, they were not ready to use such strength of their decree. The rabbis didn't want to go so far to say. What do you say? Worse no, you're saying practically, but it. And I can't even benefit burning it to warm the room up. Right. But right. Right. It's a good question. I don't know if there's anything you can do with it. But what you are doing is you're not burning it. You're not taking truma, which is 100% pure on a Torah level, and we're not allowing you we're not giving you the allowance to burn it, because burning that means you're taking truma that's pure on a Torah level and you're actually burning it. So we're tying your hands to say don't, because we're not being so. If we're strong in our enactment, we'll call it tameh. If we call it tameh, then anything that it touches would also be tameh, right? I mean, again, that depends. We said truma. I mean, truma can't go higher than 3. But if we go ahead, but it would be that we give it the right to burn it, and we're saying we're not ready yet to go ahead and burn it, and we're just giving it that it's suspended. Good morning. If you want, we're doing the Gemara Shabbat. If you want to join us in the Gemara Shabbat or whatever you want to learn, it's available. Whatever you want to do. You want to listen old-fashioned, whatever you want to do is good. So, yeah, so what would you do? You just have to wait until it gets like it rots, right? Nothing to do. That's what it said. You wait until it gets rots. And then okay, we have to see okay, we have to see more about that, how, about details. I hear. We have to see more about that. Okay, so that's what the Gemara is saying. Again, the Gemara is saying we have 2 statements. We have a statement that Hillel and Shammai, they made an enactment regarding the hands. If your hands touch, they touch truma, hands that weren't washed. And we have another statement that the Shiva of Shammai and Hillel made an enactment about the hands. So the Gemara wants to know, is it the same enact? Maybe that they're 2 different enactments. We said the Yeshiva, Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel made an enactment. And we said Hillel and Shammai made an enactment. So the Gemara says, maybe perhaps, how do we explain it? Was it Shammai and Hillel who did it, who made an enactment? They have to wash your hands before you touch Trumah? Or was it the Yeshiva? Who was the author of this enactment regarding your hands have to be washed before you touch Trumah? Was it Shammai and Hillel, or was it the Yeshiva Shammai and Hillel? So the Gemara says maybe, perhaps, they both were involved. Maybe, perhaps, Shammai and Hillel made the first enactment. They said you have to wash your hands before you touch Trumah. But if you don't wash your hands, the Trumah will not consider the Trumah as if it's contaminated and you burn it. We'll just we'll leave it a state of suspended. You can't eat the Trumah. You did meaning you did a certain level of damage of you can't eat it because you touched it, but you don't burn it. And then came the students of Shammai and Hillel, and they took it another notch. They say we'll consider it contaminated, and you'll actually have to burn it. So that's what the Gemara is saying. Also Talmudai, but goes on this row, and they treat it as a definite contaminated item, not something that's suspended in air, so to speak. So the Gemara says you can't say that. Why? Because Va'ama Ilfa says, Yadayim Tchilat Gzeiratan L'Sreifa. When they made the enactment regarding Yadayim, the first enactment that they said that you have to wash your hands before you touch Trumah. If you don't wash your hands before you touch the Trumah, they said you're going to burn the Trumah. Good morning, Akiva. We're going to look at the Trumah as if it's definitely contaminated. Not that they made it that it's like we consider it like a safek, like we consider it as a questionable. I mean, when it's suspended, it means it's a question. Not that we gave it a status of questionable. Is that clear, Aaron? Rather, we gave it a definitive status that it's definitely contaminated. Mark, is that clear? So the Gemara says they originally made the Gzeira L'Sreifa. So therefore, back to the drawing board. So who made this? We have one place that says Hillel and Shammai made it, and we have one place that says the students of Shammai and Hillel made it. So who made? But the Gemara says that, but now the Gemara is showing that that was the Gemara's suggestion, and the Gemara says that the Gemara knocks it off. Why? Because we find that the original enactment, whoever made that original enactment, which seemed to be Shammai and Hillel, they made it in a way that it would be burnt, right? Not that it was only level one, that it's suspended, you don't eat it and you don't burn it. Rather, the people who made the first enactment, they said that you would have to, they already went so far to consider it as it's tameh. Now, so what's so we have the students of Shammai and the students, right. This is not one of them. This is seemingly not one of them. It's not listed as one of the places because it says they made the gezerah. They did it. Right, they did it together. But then we say that the students of Shammai and the students of Hillel made the enactment. So who made the enactment? So that's what the Gemara is trying to figure out. So the Gemara says like this. The Gemara says Ella nupshat. When he says Ella nu, going away from what we said before. Ella atu inu, they themselves, Shammai and Hillel, like Mark said, they were united. They came together, and they said, we're going to make a gezerah. You can't touch if you didn't wash your hands, you're going to validate truma. Not only validate truma, it's going to be a definitive, you're going to have to burn that truma. That's how far we're going to go in our enactment. Atu enu gazur. They made a gezerah, v'lo kiblu minahu. But the people did not accept the gezerah. What does that mean? That means there's such a concept when the rabbis make a decree. The rabbis say they make a decree something that they feel that the people can handle. They'll never make a fence that they feel is too much. But they also say they want it, but nevertheless, they also look to the people in order for it to be ratified. It's an unbelievable concept. If they say, you know what, the Jewish people, they're keeping laws, but then if they see that the people, the normal person who keeps the Jewish laws, are having difficulty keeping this new decree. So then sometimes they would rescind their decree. Right here. Here's the example. There are other examples that they made this decree. They said, you know what? If you don't wash your hands and you touch truma, you have to burn the truma. Burn the truma. People said, what's going on over here? The people felt it very hard to accept such a thing. This truma is perfectly pure truma. I didn't wash my hands, right, Adam? I didn't wash my hands. Now if I touch the truma, there's no such contamination. The Torah that says this thing. Now this decree, I have to burn it. They felt it was a little bit too strict for them, and therefore the rabbis took off the gezerah. They said we have to backtrack, and you know what? Nothing. If that's what happens, that's what happens. But then the later generation, then they had Hillel and Shammai with two rabbis that made a decree. But then, when the students of Shammai and Hillel was probably a big academy of Torah learning, now they said, we're going to reenact that decree. And the people were ready then to handle it and accept it. So therefore, that was a story. Originally, they were uniform, Shammai and Hillel. But I want to say, again, then the students came along, only Beis Shammai wanted to reenact it. Beit Hillel did not want to reenact it. The students, they felt no, which also maybe is in sync with the general Beit Shammai is more strict, and Beit Hillel is usually more lenient. There are exceptions, but so therefore Beit Hillel did not want to go ahead, and therefore it says they argued. On that day, these 18 enactments, and this was one of them that they argued, that Beit Hillel says, we don't want to make this enactment. But Beit Shammai was the majority, and the majority rules by Torah. Achrei Rabim Latot, you go after the majority, and therefore they reenacted the original thing. Now, so the Gemara says, The students came, Gozru v'kiblu minayu. They went ahead and they made a gzera, and it was accepted. And the people accepted the gzera. So the Gemara says, now the Gemara challenges, okay, we explained that, but we have an early report, we have a report about that Shlomo HaMelech was the one who instituted washing your hands before you touch the truma, which is way before Shammai. Shammai and Hillel, they were 100 years before the destruction of the second temple. Shlomo Melech was way before. Remember, Shlomo Melech's Beit HaMikdash lasted for 410 years. And then there was 70 years of exile, and then there was another 420 years of the second Beit HaMikdash. So we're talking, many years before. Shlomo, the Amar Rabbi Yehuda Meshmuel, B'shah shetikin Shlomo Erevin. When Shlomo HaMelech instituted Erevin, he was also the man behind Erevin, which we discussed about if you have a courtyard in front of a house, and you have your house, and you have your friend's house, and you both houses open up into a courtyard, we said you can't go ahead and carry from your private house into the courtyard, even though the courtyard is also private property, but because the courtyard is shared by both of us, so it has some resemblance of public space. And if we're going to go ahead and carry from our house to the courtyard, I might come to carry from my house out into the public property. So therefore, we go ahead and we collect a certain amount of food, and we put it in from the members of the courtyard, and the houses that open up into the courtyard, and then we put the food into one of the houses. That's the Erev Chatzerot, and that allows you to go ahead to carry now from the house to the courtyard. We'll see more tomorrow about the Gemara's challenge on who was the author of the decree of washing your hands before you touch the truma. Okay, have a great day, everybody. Thank you. Take it, Akiva. Asaf, have a great day.